Thank you for joining us for talking something interesting about China. My name is Eda. It's my great honor to be here to participate this great event, Oxford Real Farming Conference. I'm the founder of About Farm. About Farm is an independent nonprofit organization. We focus on the farm sustainability evaluation and the communication. So let's come to our topic today. First, I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Shi Yan. She is really a celebrity in China for her engagement in agriculture as a representative of young generation. Dr. Shi Yan received her PhD from Renmin University in agricultural economics and rural development, and she pursued her postdoctoral research at Tsinghua University. Both these two universities are top universities in China. Dr. Shi Yan also founded the China's very earliest CSA farm, and in 2012, she founded her own CSA farm, Sharing Harvest, in Beijing. She is now the co-president of International CSA Network Agency, and she was also selected as one of the young global leader in 2016 by World Economic Forum. Besides, Dr. Shi Yan also wrote books and translated books. Okay, there is a list of great honors and achievements of Dr. Shi Yan. I'm not going to finish reading here today. Okay, let's come to the topic today. The topic is named as China COVID-19 and the growth of the CSA network. How the pandemic has changed short supply chain agriculture in China. So as we know that during this COVID-19, a lot of industries has suffered devastating impact during the pandemic. But this is just this pandemic actually provide a kind of developing opportunity for the agroecology and the CSA in China. So according to Dr. Shi, actually the sharing harvest achieved a kind of a big growth in the farm's income. So let's hear to her speech and see how she achieved that. So let's welcome Dr. Shi Yan. Okay.
我叫门振生，负责柳庄户基地的种植技术。现在你别看是疫情时期，但是我们还是按照有机种植，一点也不放松，让大家吃着放心的蔬菜。现在我们这蔬菜也挺充足的，希望大家安心。
打成我能把菜插进来，送入培训房打包。
我叫吴淑俊，在配菜房工作。早晨到这把职工们采这个新鲜的蔬菜给摘好、捆好，破了叶子、老的叶子都不要，让会员们吃了新鲜的蔬菜，吃着开心，吃着放心。
大家好，我叫蒋虎，主要负责配菜房的工作，主要是蔬菜的分拣、包装跟配送，精挑细选，为大家插播的安排。
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Shi Yan. I'm very excited to share about my farm experience and also the CSA movement in China, especially in this special time. I have a presentation. I will show you the my presentation. I'm the called head farmer of Share Harvest CSA Farm, and also the co-president of International CSA Network. My farm is located in Shunyi District, Beijing, about 15 hectares. And we have we run our farm as the community supported agriculture model. That means most of our produce are delivered and also subscribed by our members, local consumers in Beijing. So at our farm, we have we grow vegetables, but at the same time also have some fish and also some animals. This year at our farm we have almost 60 people working at the farm. Actually, all of the farmers we has two kinds of farmers. One of the farmers we call the traditional farmers, which they grow up in the countryside, in the village. Maybe all of their lives are farmers, and their age are mainly above 50 years old. But we also have part of our group we call young farmers, or now some people also call new farmers, that their age probably between 25 to 30 years old, and many of them they just graduate, or maybe they worked in the city for several years, but now they want to come back to the countryside. So we are also when I started to do farming 12 years ago, I think I'm also experiencing a kind of a trend in China that maybe many of you think China now is very quick, very fast urbanization time. But while at the same time, actually, I think maybe 10 to 12 years ago, there are also more and more young people who wants to go back to the countryside. And also 3 years ago, our central government also promote a kind of a new national strategy called rural revitalization. And this project now become the kind of the most important national strategy now in China. So there are also many young people wants to come back to the countryside, but many of them, they don't know how to start and where to start. So for last 12 years, my farm is also kind of become a incubator for young farmers or new farmers, where many of them, they come to my farm to work for, or maybe volunteer for a month or work for 2 years, 3 years. Then they will go back to their own hometown to start their own farm or their own project. And also at my farm, we have, for example, like one young guy, actually he was learning cooking he learned cooking for 5 years. And after the 5 years of cooking experience, he don't want to become a chef. He wants to become a farmer. So he come to my farm and wants to work on the field. But later he found actually he still wants to do some cooking things. So he started his own project. We started a small kitchen for him, and so now he is making all the bakeries. And also you can see this picture is when we have the Moon Festival in China. We eat the moon cakes. So he made all the moon cakes with all the materials, many of the materials from my farm produce, but we also get other produce from our CSA networks. So now we can have a whole organic moon cakes to all of our members and other consumers. While at the same time, our farm also have we call surgery industry that is mainly focused on education or activities. So that there are several young people, they also in charge of those kind of like summer camp, or we also have almost every month we have a new farmers or young farmers training course where about 20 people coming from all over China to come to my farm to stay and live, learn and practice at the farm for a whole week. And in this week, they will learn how to start a CSA farm and or how to start their own business in rural areas. So that this training, we already hosted 24 courses, 24 sessions for almost 300, more than 300 people graduate from this training course. And many of them already become part of our, they can also provide their produce to our platform. And the other part of our important work, but it's not only for shared harvest farm, but is for CSA China, our China CSA Network, is we started from 12 years ago. We start the called National CSA Conference. So this year, in the end of this month, we will host the 12th CSA National Conference. So each year, actually, the people who participate in this conference are growing, and even until the 10th of the National CSA Conference in Chengdu, Sichuan Province, we have almost 1,000 people participate. There are farmers, consumers, scholars, and also people from the government. So it's become a very widely spreaded kind of also a widely social participate conference that people are very enthusiastic about the how to really into healthy, sustainable farming. So this network also help us to from the end of the beginning of last year, we are starting our network, also starting to see, because in our network now we have about more than 1,500 CSA projects all over China. And we are wondering, and many of the people, many of the CSAs, for example, like my farm and also some other farms around Shanghai or Guangdong. So these CSA farms, they mainly focus on growing vegetables. But when you have more and more consumers, members, the consumers, they also want, for example, some consumers want organic flowers or maybe organic cotton. So that we are later on, I think about 5 years ago, we are trying to coordinate some products from our networks, other farms, so that from share harvest, our member, they can even get most of their life needs, life requirements from the farm delivery. So from the beginning of last year, our network, we have many discussions about how we can, because in the past years, we are more like a loose network. So every year we gathered and we share, but how these small scale farmers and especially organic farmers in our networks are small, and most of them, they don't have organic certification. So we want to be closer our network. So from last year, we are discussing how, if we can use a cooperative, maybe started from each province, that then later on we can build a national CSA cooperatives, so that in these cooperatives we have stronger voice, and also we can have the, if we buy some inputs, we can have also a lower price. So that's what we are trying to do from last year and also this year to organize our national cooperatives. Right now already we have 16 provinces already built their provincial cooperatives. So we have some other province, they don't have stronger enough network, so they haven't set up their own cooperatives. But then we use these provincial cooperatives to register. We call the CSA PGS. I don't know if you know, PGS means participatory guarantee system. It's the other system in an international network that most of you maybe for if you want to call yourself organic farm, you need a third-party certification. That most of the countries, they permit the farmers to only permit the farmers to use the third-party certification to call yourself organic farm. But on the other side, we see in China, most of the small-scale organic farmers, actually, they are very, very hard to do organic certification. But they also want to recognize as an organic farmer because they really use the way of organic farming. So our CSA network, actually, we enlarged the CSA concept so that we can also promote according to the provincial wide so that the farmers around in that province, they can do the participatory guarantee system for each other. Then from our national network and the provincial cooperative, we will sign a kind of a certificate for the farmers. And the logo you see from the screen actually is a logo that we will give to the farmers a certificate, which they can use this logo as a kind of a CSA certificate. So in the future, we hope that this CSA PGS certificate can also be accepted by our government. Then I will mainly talk about our short chain that market, especially in the COVID, in the pandemic. I still remember there are twice very kind of very serious issue when the pandemic happened in Beijing. The first time is during the Chinese New Year, last year, new Chinese Lunar New Year. Yeah, I think at last I just want to say, actually, when we see as a farmer, we see the soil, the soil after the humus after a microscope, you can see it's actually like a sponge that when it's very white or you have lots of rain, our soil can really suck lots of water to storage the water for maybe a dry year. So I think that is a very good example of how we can really make our farming be more resilient at any time, not only at the time that during the pandemic, but also right now I think we are in a unstable stage of world economic and also political area. So at this time, how we can make our farm or how we can make our farming or life in the rural areas can be more resilient is a kind of thinking that during the pandemic, because I was also thinking that because at my farm we have a donkey, so actually during the the very kind of serious time of Beijing's pandemic time, I was thinking, because at that time some of the delivery or logistic company, they are shut down and they can't deliver for us. And although we maybe we can have our own car to one way is we can have our own car to deliver all the vegetables or of our produce to local Beijing consumers. That's because we are a short chain, and most of our consumers, our members are in the local area. Our farm is only 70 kilometers from Tiananmen Square to my farm, so it's very near. Well, on the other side, I'm also wondering because if someday we really can't even drive a car, how we can really also be sustainable, also be resilient. I think because at my farm we have a donkey, so that if as a farmer, if we are all using tractors. So if one day we don't have oil, we can't drive a car, we can't drive a tractor, how we can make the delivery? So I was really kind of happy about our donkey because we can use the donkey maybe only for a day. We can drive the donkey from the farm to the center of Beijing and deliver all the vegetables to our members, to our consumers, so that they can also get our produce. I think that's a kind of thinking I want to share with you, is that we need to really make our farm more diversified, not only about the market side, the ecology side, but also almost other different parts of our farm. While managing our farm, we need to consider during the pandemic, really need to consider how we can make it more resilient. Thank you very much.
Hello?
Hi, Ida.
Yes, I'm here. So
Yeah.
you've already complete your presentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's good. Even though we have some small technical problems, that won't be the barrier for us. Okay, here we come some interesting questions for you. Can you? Should I give you the questions now?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. So one question is like this. Is the access to land a problem for people who want to start farming in China, I think? If so, what sort of problems? How do people in cities in China access land? It sounds like urban farms are more common than in the UK. The idea of provincial cooperative is exciting in UK. So I think this question is about the land. How we can access land in China. Can you give us some explanation? We know that you are quite an expert in this aspect. You acquire your own land and you start your own farm, 2 farms in China. So can you give us some explanation on that? Thank you.
Sure. Actually, in China, our land, we don't have a private land ownership. So that in all the village, actually, the land are owned by the village collective. That all the farmers who was born and also grew up in that village, they belong to the village collective. So that means everyone who born in that village, they can have a ownership of a piece of the land. But you actually, even the farmer, they are not own the land, but it owned by the village collective. So as a people, if you don't born as a farmer And if you are not born in that village, actually you can't really own the land, but you can rent the land. So actually most of the new farmers or many young farmers, when they started to do farming, actually they rent land from the village collective, or they can also rent land from individual farmers. But it's more guaranteed you rent land from the village collective. And also usually you can't rent the land for more than 30 years, because our national policy is guaranteed the 30 years the policy will be stable. So you can only mostly you can rent the land for 30 years.
Okay. Will this be a barrier for the new farmer to start and farm by themselves for someone who is living in the city? What do you think?
Yeah, in some way, I think so, because I also talk with my our village leader in my village, because I said to him, we put so much energy and so much organic matter, because even the only 7 years our soil organic matter increased about 3% in the soil. So that I talk with him, if after, because our rent is till 2030, so if after 2030 we can't rent the land again, so that actually the most treasurable thing is the soil. Because we can rent other land from other village, but we can't have a soil like the soil right now. So we need more time to really changing the soil. But I also think, because now actually, although you see more and more young people coming back to the village, but there are still, I think, a larger trend of people going to the city. So I think maybe 10 years later, there will be fewer people in the village. So maybe only us still stay in the village, and so that we can still continue the rent.
Okay, thank you. So next question is about some kinds of problem of the trust. One viewer said, "Hi, Shiyan, thank you for sharing experience with us. I was wondering if there were any issues with convincing people to be part of your CSA scheme. For example, changing people's mindset from buying at markets or supermarkets to directly buy from your farm." Okay, how to build the trust between the consumers and you, the farm or the producers? Do you have some of the experience to share from your experience?
Yeah, actually, I think trust is a very important issue in China organic market, because when we in China now we have the third party organic certification, but there are also some scandals. Sometimes several years it happens when maybe the CCTV will have some broadcast about the scandals on organic certification. But on the other side, people also need to pay more to buy organic produce. I think there one reason is some people are saying, because our, during the past 30 years, actually we have a Caesar's gap. The Caesar's gap means actually everyone who live in the city, actually they have some kind of they get more of the welfare than the people who work in the countryside. Also, they get lower price of the of the food, which the farmers actually they get a lower price of the produce, so that they can that can be provided to the people who work in the city to have a fast urbanization, so that we have a kind of system that people already believe in low price food. So it's kind of hard to really persuade people to to buy organic food, but well at the same time it's maybe 50% or even one time more more expensive than the conventional food. So when we really started 10 years ago, I think many of our our consumers at the beginning, we get it from our really our relatives or friends or scholars or teachers from my university, because when I first graduate, I really don't have lots of relationships with the social relationships. So I really try to convince my my advisor in the university or other teachers in the university to join in our join our members. Well, actually, after several years, you can see people are buying our produce mouth by mouth, because on the other side, we also experience a kind of a time after 2008, the infant the milk filament issue, that the infant milk powder issue, that sometimes people also seeing this food scandals, so that they are also trying to guarantee their family, their children's health. So I think this kind of issue also pushing people to try to find their way. So if they are trying to find a way, they must come to see, oh, there's a kind of a model that the local farmers can deliver their produce, and you can also, as a consumer, you can also directly go to their farm to check, to see, even to talk with your farmer, so that it's even trustable than you just go to a supermarket to see a certification.
Oh, okay, I got it. So I actually, one question from me. Just now you mentioned that actually you build a kind of trust by attracting some of the friends or some of the familiar people around you to build this kind of trust, and then enlarge your consumer group. I think it's a smart way. According to my commonly understanding of CSA, that usually we do not do the third-party certification like organic certification in the CSA farms. I wonder, is Sharing Harvest doing such kind of certification, organic certification for your farm? Why or why not? Can you in your understanding, can you feature what is a typical Chinese CSA farm will be like? I think there are some special features of China's agriculture environment. So how do you feature Chinese kind of CSA? Why do you think that this CSA model will be adapted to China's rural areas development?
Okay, you have very good questions. The first one about the certification. Actually, because our farm we already have 8 years, but the first 5 years we don't have any organic certification from the third party. But we have done a certification 3 years ago. That's what I really want to know, the process of the certification, because when we're talking about, what's their problem, what's the third party problem comparing to CSA, you really need to know their process. So we have done 2 products. One of the products is our pears. and the other product is our tomatoes. Because in China, our third-party certification is unlike other countries. Every product you produce at your farm, you need to do one certification. So that means the more of the varieties that you grow, the more money you spend on the certification.
Okay.
So that I only do 2 product certification to know
saving
the product.
cost.
Yeah, saving cost, but while at the same time, I can know their process, all the documents and all their needs. When they, when the certifier, they come to the farm, how they do the check. So that because we are also promoting our PGS, Parliamentary Guarantee System, so that our system also use some of the, some of the process of the third-party system. Because for the PGS, we are more focusing on the participatory, because the farmers, the consumers, or any parties, you can also participate in the checking of the farm, or you can even learn from each other when the farmers visit each other. So, but on the if you go to the farm, when you're checking the farm, we can also learn from the third-party certification how they check the farm, all the process. So we also learn from their process. So that's the first question. And the second question is, actually, when we first started the kind of the first CSA farm in Beijing is in 2008, in 2009. And at that time, many of the CSA farms, after we started the donkey farm, many of the CSA farms, they are copying the model of the little donkey. So at the very beginning, maybe the first 3 years, many of the CSAs are more like the same. I think it's more like the model of the United States model, that each of the farm, so people will have their own farm, and they will have the individual consumers. Then they will grow many varieties of vegetables, and then they try to deliver their vegetables box to the consumers. But actually later on, many farmers found, as a new farmer, if you grow too many varieties, actually it's very hard for techniques. And so many new farmers, they are struggling on growing many different varieties. So I think probably 5 to 7 years ago, many farmers, they are not following the kind of traditional or classic CSA models. Also, we are trying to, some of the CSA farms, they are besides the big cities like Beijing, Shanghai, or Guangdong, but other farms, they also want to practice organic farming, but they are far from the cities. But they also are open to the consumers. They also want to participation, so that they can sell to some CSA farms besides the cities. For example, some of the young farmers, their produce are selling to us, and then we deliver their produce together with our produce. For example, like one of the young farmer, actually he worked with us for 2 years, and then he go back to his hometown in Sichuan, and now he's only growing organic ginger, a kind of special ginger in Sichuan. And so now his ginger deliver to us, and we will also deliver his ginger to our members, because it's harder to grow ginger in Beijing. So now the CSAs are becoming a very, I think it's a very kind of concept that I think because in Chinese we called it 社会生态农业 now. It means all the farmers, they will practice ecological organic farming. Well, on the other side, especially on their market side, they are open to the public. They are open to the participation, to the social, and they are not like I'm a company, so that you can't come to visit my company. But they are more open, and they want people. They also want to directly link with their consumers, or they want to talk with their own stories, so that they maybe in the future they can get more of the consumers directly from their markets. So now the CSA concept are very open. And also the other side is because we hosted the CSA conference for 12 years. So each year we also promote some of the new concepts, like farmers markets or cooperative consumers cooperatives in our conference. So some people, they get these new ideas like farmers market or some farm to table projects. So now our CSA network are even broader than the CSA itself. So many of the people who participate in our conference or our network are the people who want to have a more sustainable or more health food system, so that all the people can come to really participate in our discussion or conference or network.
Okay, I got it. So thank you. I think Shiyan have explained that actually CSA is a quite open kind of system, and actually they are very open to everybody and invite people to come to visit the farms and see the transparency of the operation. That's great. And another question from audience and also from me is, I think you've already mentioned in your presentation that to keep the resilience of a farm operation, you have to have a good percentage or good kind of allocation in the primary and the secondary and the tertiary industries development, which means that you can not put all your efforts in one aspect like production or something like that. So what do you think is the best percentage for a kind of a farm development in order to keep the farm to be kind of a resilient development? Can you tell us? And also, can you, because since we don't have many time, can you picture in a few words, picture the CSA development in 5 years? Thank you. 2 questions.
Thank you, Ada. I think the first one, because actually at the beginning we are not knowing that we don't have enough team members to really have those first or second or tertiary industry or facilitate in our farm. Actually, that is growing like growing like a tree that for all the vegetable growth or fruits or animals, that is kind of like the tree's roots, that you need to really build these roots very strong. So I think we almost have about 5 years, more than 5 years to, I think 80 or 90% of our time, our energy are focusing on how we can really make our varieties or our delivery, our service can be better at the maybe first 4 years or 5 years. Although at that time we also have some time on doing some small educational project, but we're mainly focusing on our roots, how we can really make our roots stronger. And then I think only after 5 years, 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago, we think maybe it's a time that we can have, because you know we are also attracting more and more young people come to the farm, and many of them have their own dreams. Some of them they want to start a bakery, organic bakery, and some of them maybe want to start a education project, so that we, according to each of their talent, we start new projects according to what kind of people we have, what kind of farmers we have. So we start the education training, and also some of the, even we are now doing catering, so that some of the companies, they are having conference or workshops, they don't need to order kuaidi or deliver, that they have lots of waste, so that we can deliver the cooking, some of our cooking, our food which already cooked by a box, and then we also take that box back to the farm so that we can clean all the plates, so no waste, zero waste.
Okay.
So we will do lots of this kind of new project. I think in next 5 years, my farm itself will still, I think, very kind of stably growing at just like I think like humans growth is indeed be very step by step. On the other side, I think our energy also will have some energy putting on our national CSA cooperatives, that because each of the farmers in China, we already have 5,000 of years of farming history, and most of the farming history, all the farmers are very individualized. And so especially during last 50 years, actually when we're making all the farming policies, you don't have farmers' voice, because every farmer are small and individual farmers. We don't have a farmers cooperative, bigger cooperatives, or some representatives really from the farmers' voice. So I think we, on the other side, we need to really build our not only develop our own business part of the our own farm, but also very important part is stronger our voice, also communicate with other countries to let that what is really happened in China, and we already have so many thousands of years of really sustainable farming history, but only maybe 50 years we are losing our wisdom, and we are also need to have trying to find our new way in the in the next several years. Need to really find the confidence also. So I think next 5 years, the CSA network will really grow into I think it's more like a very strong network, but also economic and social kind of organization as a cooperative.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. I think the audience have many great questions, and I think we don't have enough time to answer them one by one. But the technical guy has already posted your email address in the platform, so I think you can communicate afterwards. Best wishes for you. Best wishes for CSA. So thank you very much. That's the end of our session. Thank you.